Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to lesson JAZ.4.3 on rhythm changes. So rhythm changes is a specific 32-bar progression that was popularized through George Gershwin's song I Got Rhythm from the musical Girl Crazy. It was published in 1930, and it became more popular in the 40s and 50s as it was used as a basis for improvisation by a lot of early bebop musicians. It was popular and well known. They would write their own contrafacts, their own new melodies over the chord progression so they could improvise over it legally and not have to pay Gershwin anything or his estate. But it became a very popular common language. If you wrote a new tune and it was over these chord changes, then it was easier for people to improvise over it because they already knew them from other tunes that they'd done. So some popular tunes, besides, obviously I Got Rhythm, that use it would be Cottontail by Duke Ellington, Salt Peanuts by Dizzy Gillespie, Lester Leaps In by Lester Young, Anthropology by Charlie Parker. Go ahead, listen to any or all of those. At least listen to I Got Rhythm. It's a cool tune, has some cool rhythmic elements, which, makes sense given the name. But it is an AABA form. It's a 32-bar tune. The original tune was written in B flat, so that's the most common key you'll see it in, and the one that we'll look at here. Like the blues, there's a basic version, but then there are so many possible variations that people have come up with over the years. So we're not going to look at the whole 32-bar thing, we're going to break it down. So this is our A phrase, 8 bars long. So typically you have a 2-bar phrase that gets repeated, and then a 4-bar phrase. So here we have 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, and 1, 4, 2, 6, 3, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. So the first 2 bars we have a typical turnaround. 1, 6, 2, 5, then we go back. Then we land on a 5 of 4, leading to 4. Then we turn that into a minor 7 because we can. And then we go around a bunch of da. It feels like a 2, feels like a 2, feels like a 2. And then, we turn it into a 5, and we go to our B section. But it feels like it's going to head back to 1, probably. So here are some possible variations. Our first 4 bars, again, it was just a standard 1, 6, 2, 5. In here, we just add a couple extensions. So we start with, again, a major 7. Make that a dominant 7, C minor 9. Add that extension, F9, again. We have an extension. Here, it's not uncommon to see a D in the root, or a D in the bass at measure 3. That's common down here. So it can serve as the root for a B flat chord, as it does here. And then we go back to C9, then F9. So in the second example, B, we put in some tritone substitution. So instead of G going to C, we have D flat going to C. Instead of G going to C, again, D flat going to C. And we also take that D in the root and make it a full-fledged D minor 7 chord. That's not as big a change as it sounds, because here we have D, F, A, and B flat. Here now we just have D, F, A, and C. So we've only changed that B flat to a C. We've just changed the root. And to really emphasize this D, we walk down to it in the bass. F, E flat, D. So it's going to sound like this. Sorry, it's hard to read. So then we have a D flat, 7, down to our F7 with the E flat in the bass going down to D flat to G flat. G flat 7, sorry. And then presumably we're going to head to B flat next. Our third variation, 2 tritone substitutions right off the bat. G going to D flat, C going to G flat. And then we emphasize this D even more by tonicizing it with its own 5. D flat flat 7, G flat, major 7, and we just hang out on 1 in that last measure rather than having some sort of turnaround. Here, we've just decided that all that matters is the 2-5, and everything is just leading to that. It's a giant chain of applied sevenths. So everything is a seventh leading to the next chord. We start on G flat and just keep having dominant sevenths. Going to 11. And then, so really tons of possible variation here. So now that was just measures 1 through 4. Now we're going to look at our 4-bar phrase. So here at the beginning, well, let's pull up what it was. Sorry, is that on the back? Yes, it's on the back. So 5 of 4, 4, and then 3, 6, 2, 5 turnaround. So here, first we're embellishing our 5 of 4 with a 2. So instead of just B flat going to E flat, now we have a 2, 5, 1 leading to 4. We also have a passing diminished seventh, like we were talking about in, I think it was Bird earlier. And that just smooths out some voice leading. And we also add some extensions and substitutions, turning some of the 2s into 5s, turning some of your minor sevenths into dominant sevenths in the turnaround. So I'm going to pull it over here so I can actually see all the extensions. So we have F minor 9. So our bass of an F minor 7 chord. And then, I'm sorry, that should be a F. There we go. Our 2 going to a 5, B flat 7 with a flat 9. And then resolving to E flat major with a 9 as well. We voice lead that up. Diminished 7, going back to our G7 chord. That would be a normal G. We add a flat 9 and a sharp 11. Crunchy, C9, F9, and presumably we're going back to B flat. Our next possible variation, ooh, the wood grain looks nice there. We have the bass line smoothed out a little bit, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F. So it's just really dictating what the bass line is. Let that descend by step. So we start with the B flat 7, walk that down to A flat. Our 4 chord has a G in the bass, then turn that into a minor 4 with a G flat in the bass, and then we end up on 1 with an F in the bass, and then we have our turnaround. And our last example here, we have some tritone substitutions shoved in. So we're heading to E flat, so we put in an E7 there. We're heading to B flat. No, sorry, that's just a passing diminished. Here's our other one. G7 going to G flat going to F. Let's hear that. So we start on 5 and 4. We have our tritone substitution, resolving to our 4. And A flat 7, our passing diminished 7. Back to 1. And then our turnaround with the tritone substitution, just walking it down by half a step. And then presumably to B flat. The B section is also 8 bars, and in the most basic form, you're going to have 4 dominant 7th chords. So that's really slowing down the harmonic motion rather than having 2 chords per bar. Now we have a chord every 2 bars. You just hang out on D7, hang out on G7, hang out on C7, hang out on F7, and then that leads us back to B flat for a final A section. And there are lots of possible variations. So this first one, we add a tritone substitution to each dominant 7th in the 2nd bar, which leads to some very smooth half-step voicing. So here we have D, F sharp, A, and C. So A flat, A is going to go to A flat, C stays, D goes to E flat, and the F sharp stays on G flat. So 2 of the voices stay the same, the other 2 move by half step. So nice and smooth. that A flat 7, everything's just going to move down a half step to your G7. So it does that 4 times. We start on D, we go to A flat 7, then slide it down to G7. We have a D flat 7, slide it down to C7. We have a G flat 7. Sorry, slide that down to F7. And then a B7, which is going to slide down to B flat. In our example B, every chord that we have here, we keep them, we just add a 2 before it. So just a whole bunch of 2, 5, 1s. Presumably we're going to. So some of the transitions with the tritone substitutions are a little bit funky, like, going from D7 to E flat minor 7 is exactly what we expect, but you get some cool stuff in there. In C, we have some additional tritone substitutions. So what do I mean by that? 18. I guess they wouldn't really be tritone substitutions. They'd just be substitutions. We're moving by... Oh, no. I see what they mean by tritone sub. So here, we're treating this as tonic. So you have, instead of an A7 before it, you have an E flat 7 before. We're treating this as tonic. Instead of having a D7, you have an A flat 7. So that's where the tritone sub comes from. I'm going to pull it over here. Sorry. We have an A minor 7, D7, B flat minor 7, E flat 7, pulling down to D minor 7, G7, E flat minor 7, A flat 7, G minor 7, C7, A flat minor 7, D flat 7, C minor 7, F7, D flat minor 7, G flat 7, presumably going to B flat. And then in D, we take this and we just choose 1, 2, 5 from each pair of measures. So here, we'll take that B flat and E flat. Here, we'll take that D and G. Here, we'll take this A flat, D flat. Here, we'll take this C and F. So we just kind of re-expanded what we got going on here. So B flat, D minor, G, A flat minor, D flat, C minor, B flat. So really, you're going to have some kind of 2-5 chain going on here, but exactly how that works is up to you. So lots of variations possible, and I'll go ahead and see you next time for the ear tune.